I just want to thank you real quick for taking the time to do this. Um, I do a little podcast. This is what we're on. It's fun. I have a good time doing it. And a buddy of mine just recently gave me this shirt. Does this look familiar?
It looks very familiar.
Yeah, it looks good on me. I like this shirt. It's a very soft tee. I'm a fan. First of all, I'm a
Yeah,
fan. And I have to tell you this quick story.
sure. Let's
It's
hear it.
I think it's how this whole thing started, right? I mean,
Okay.
recently. So back in the day, I'm 48 years old. So I was probably 18 or 17 when you guys were hitting the MTV top 10 countdown type thing.
Yeah,
With
man.
Free and To Hell with the Devil. Honestly, I loved all that stuff. But I remember how I got introduced to you was through my dad. One day,
Okay.
my dad went out to start my car to move it. It was blocking him. I had a 1982 Camaro, and even had this mullet back then. I was very rock and roll kind of a dude, and
Nice.
he went to he went to crank the car, and he heard Bullet Boys singing "Smooth Up in You,"
Oh man.
and he came in the house with that tape going like, "Son, smooth up in you. Okay, I know what this means. All right, I'm getting rid of this." And then the next day, he replaced it with Stryper, "To Hell with the Devil." And at first, I was mad at him, and then I started listening to it like These guys rock.
So your dad made you a fan.
He opened the door for me, and that's how it started. Like I want to say that was 88, 89.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's crazy. It's back in the day, Striper, we had the sound and the look of other bands from our genre, but we had a completely different message, as you know.
Right.
And it's interesting. I always find it interesting. There's a guy that did a reaction video to our song "Blood from Above," our newest song, and basically an atheist. He doesn't believe in God, and he's a huge Striper fan. And he goes on to talk about how he doesn't care about the lyrics, and he just loves the music. And it's interesting because there are a lot of people out there who do care about the lyrics. They won't listen to us because of the lyrics.
Okay.
And I always find that interesting because those same people will go and listen to Slayer
Mm-hmm.
and not have a problem with the lyrics,
Right.
which are about blatantly about the devil
Right.
and and evil and pentagrams and all this kind of stuff. So I always found that interesting how that is okay, but it's not okay for a band like Stryper to sing about God. I always thought that's such a double standard, and it's very interesting to me.
Well, what I love is like you guys are just as good, if not better, than those other bands that have a different message than you musically. Um, I mean, any other band will tell you like these guys are like really really good. Um, and at the time, to me, I'm not a guy who was hanging on the word. When I was 17, 18, I wasn't hanging on every word. I just liked how it sounded. But
Sure.
over time, you're like, oh, listen to this message. This is really good. And I was born and raised Southern Baptist. I went to church twice on Sundays and then Wednesday night
Okay.
supper. So
Yeah.
it was all in my wheelhouse at the time.
Well, I'm glad, man. I'm glad to hear it. And Stryper's always been a band that has worked really hard at what we do. Not that other bands don't. I'm just saying we work even harder, and I almost think that's because of who we are and what we stand for. We almost feel the need to have to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's because subconsciously we feel like we've got something to prove or not. I don't think so, but we work extra hard to make incredible music and record incredible albums, and everything is done with excellence, or we at least try to. And that's from our stage shows to rehearsals. If other bands rehearse for 4 days, we rehearse for 8 days.
Wow.
We
Mm-hmm.
we always go the extra mile to make things as good and as great as they can be.
How long did it take Stryper to get to that MTV success back in the day? Because when I first noticed you guys, you already seemed like a polished, ready to go rock and roll band like any of them. I'm sure that took many years.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it took many years. I mean, not a lot of people know this, but our parents are songwriters, singers, songwriters. They were out performing in clubs and having people babysit us when we were 2, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So we grew up in a musical family. Music is really all that I've ever known. I've never really thought about doing anything else other than music. So because of that, we worked hard on music our entire lives. I started playing guitar when I was 5 years old. I started singing when I was 11, 12. And I was out playing clubs, Whiskey, Gazzarri's, the Troubadour, when I was 15 and 16 years old.
Wow.
And we signed a deal when I was 20, and our first album came out when I was almost 21, Yellow and Black Attack.
Mm-hmm.
And, it felt like an eternity. It felt like we had been working for so long to make that happen, but it also felt like it was overnight.
Right.
When that album came out, and then Soldiers came out, and then Went to Hell came out, it just exploded, and it seemed like almost an overnight success, but it really wasn't. It was years in the making.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's awesome. Which I was going to ask you that. You said you were playing guitar at like 5 years old. I was going to ask you what came first for you, the music or the message?
Well, the music came first, for sure. When I was 2 and 3 years old, I would sit on a couch, little kid, and my parents were always playing music. And that ranged from Elvis Presley to Conway Twitty.
Oh, yeah.
To believe it or not, Creedence Clearwater. And my dad even listened to Black Sabbath on occasion. So he listened to everything. And whenever he would play music on the turntable, I would start rocking back and forth in the chair and singing along, making up words and stuff. So the music started at a very young age.
Yeah.
And it was just in me. And it's part of me. Even to this day, when any kind of music starts, I can't sit still.
Yeah.
I'm bopping my head. And then once we became Christians, we started really thinking about the message and the lyrical content.
Yeah.
And that became just as important, if not even more important than the music.
How much longer was that? You said 5 years old, you're rocking out, and I guess your brother's doing the same thing as you at the same time. Did you guys, was it one thing that happened in your life where you're like, okay, I'm going this route now?
Well, you know what it was? Whenever we had family get-togethers, we used to call them family reunions. We'd get together all the time, and sometimes there'd be maybe 10 of us. Sometimes there'd be 50, 60, 70, and even like a yearly reunion where there'd be over 100 people. Every time there was a family get-together, there was a musical performance.
Okay.
Because everyone played. My grandmother, Nana, would go, hey, let me get my guitar, and she'd break out the guitar and start singing, and that was it.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to watch the whole version, the entire episode, click on this little square right here. Or if you just want to subscribe and watch them later, click on that little bubble right there. And thank you.